Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome. This is Patrick J. Brown, your change architect. Welcome to the Change Matters podcast. Hello, hello. Hope all is well as we are honoring Mental Health Awareness Month. So let me know if you're out there. I want to ask you to please like and share if you're out there watching us right now, or also if you're on our YouTube audience, please go ahead and subscribe to Change Architect channel. We'll look forward to connecting with you and just having a time of conversation. Now, y'all know, folks, when we talk about this on Change Matters, it's always about if you want to change the direction of a thing, you want to change the conversation, right? And if you want to change the conversation, it's important that you change who joins it. And so it's important that we engage in dialogue with others who can challenge us, who we begin to experience change and transformation. So that's what this is about. So please let me know that you're out there. Please hashtag Change Matters. Let us know that you're in the podcast. We look forward to connecting with all of you. I'm so excited about today's conversation because many of us across the world, across our nation, we're focused on Mental Health Awareness Month. May is that month for mental health awareness. And so today's conversation is with Pamela. Shakir as my guest. She is a licensed clinical social worker, a therapist, a consultant, and a mental health advocate. She is actually the author of this book called Creative Strategies, a self-guided journal to help you kick depression. Excited about really diving into her experience, her thoughts, and her perspectives on mental health, but also looking at how we can have creative strategies in kicking depression. So I'm so excited about having her on board to really have this great discussion. And again, she specializes with working with women and couples who struggle with communication concerns, relationship trauma, and disagreement with their relationship. Pamela has worked with those who struggle with loss, depression, anxiety, rejection, substance abuse, and life transitions. She has a master's in counseling and social work from California State University in Bakersfield, California, and is the CEO of Healing Minds and Hearts, LLC, a psychotherapy provider. She has 3 daughters and serves as a clinical therapist for a school district in the Atlanta, Georgia area. So I'm so excited about having Pamela Shakir on board. So if you're out there, let us know that you're connecting with us today. Just let us know by just connecting. Hello, hello. Good to see all of you. Thank you so much for coming on. Hey, how are you? Lakeisha, thank you. Michelle, good to see you on. Thank you so much. Change Matters. Thank you so much. Aretha, thank you for being on. Good evening, Monique. Thank you so much for being on. Carmela, good to have you on. If you're out there, let us know. Please like, please share. Let us know that you're out there. Before we get started and bring Pamela in, I want to encourage you. Many times when we think about mental health, we normally think about, some disabilities look like this, but some look like this. They're unseen. You may not know. They impact us in many different and unique ways. And so when you think about mental health awareness, I want to encourage you that there are certain aspects of mental health that may be there that we may not know, our mental state, our emotional state, mental illness, whatever it might be. And so I want to encourage you, we're going to normalize this conversation to the 10th degree. We're going to normalize it. We're going to expand it. It's going to grow because you're here. And again, we're changing the conversation because you're a part of it. And so I'm looking forward to having Pamela here this evening. So hopefully we have more folks. Hey, how you doing, cuz? Good to see you. Thank you so much for being on. So grateful to have everyone on board. Let's get these numbers up. Let's get our likes up. Join the conversation. Let everyone know that we're here and about to engage in some dialogue that's going to be healthy and productive for you. So we'll see you in a minute. Thanks. Hello, Pamela. How are you?
Hi, how are you? Hello, everyone.
So thank you for being on. This is an exciting time to have you on to share of yourself with us. So I have such gratitude that you're part of the Change Matters podcast today. So thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. How was your day? Trust it all is well.
All is well. How was your day?
Very good, very good, very full, very rich. But nonetheless, I'm grateful this is the highlight of my day to be able to sponsor and host conversations and herald truth concerning mental health and the state of how we're feeling. Before we get started, though, I wanted us to do a grounding exercise. We're going to toast as well. So what are we toasting to? What's on your heart? What are we toasting to?
So we are toasting to new beginnings and new doors opening and some great conversation.
New beginnings, new doors opening, and doors opening, new conversation. Mm-hmm. Well, I'll toast to that. Everyone at home, hopefully you're settled. You're in a space where you can relax, and let's ground ourselves. I want you to get centered, if you will, right where you are before we go into the conversation this evening. This is Mental Health Awareness Month, so hopefully you're in a space where you can just disconnect. So find
Mhm.
a space, grab your journal if you can. And I'd like you to just go with us into a space of centering yourself, if you will. And just relax your shoulders and just center yourself. All distractions are leaving. Take a big breath in, okay? Go right ahead. Just let that out. Just a few more seconds. How was that, folks? Grounding exercise. So good to have everyone on. Well, let's dive into the conversation. First of all, I had an opportunity to go through your book and
Uh-huh.
very interesting creative strategies.
Mhm.
Before we go into that, now that we're in Mental Health Awareness Month, tell me a little bit about what made you want to go into the mental health field.
So, the mental health field kind of fell into my lap. I initially wanted to go into the school system to be a high school counselor, but as I um, as I was near completing my undergrad, I heard about the Master's in Social Work program, and I was interested in that, and I started learning more about it. And so I just said, you know what? If I get into this program, I know that this is what God want me to do. I prayed about it, that door open. I got into the program. And so I just kind of went forward with it. But years ago, many years ago, my uncle, I was 9 years old and he was 23 years old. And he was in a relationship with a young lady that he had been dating from middle school up into 23 years old.
Mm,
And they broke up. And when they broke up, he was not able to handle that relationship trauma. And so he committed suicide. Back
mm,
then, I didn't connect committing suicide to a mental health disorder or a mental health concern. I didn't connect it at that time. But once I got into the master's program for social work, I started connecting the pieces, and then I started realizing, me being a part of that situation that happened, those many years ago when my uncle took his life. I started feeling like this was my purpose. It was a passion for me to learn more about the mental health field and to figure out why people were suffering from mental health and not getting the services that they've been getting. So that's how I kind of fell into the mental health field.
mm. Well, wow, thank you for sharing that with transparency about what you experienced. And so that opened up a door for you to start exploring why people do perhaps what they do or the state of mind that we have when we experience traumatic
Yes,
situations. Okay,
yes.
wow. Now, do you have a particular specialization in mental health?
I do. I enjoy working with women. I do enjoy working with couples with relationship trauma, marital concerns, infidelity. I do work with individuals when they have concerns like depression and anxiety, trauma as well. And so those are my specialties. Of course, I work, with some other individuals going through some other things, but those are my specialties. Those are my babies that I kind of honed in on.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that with us. I
Yeah.
wonder, you're welcome. Absolutely. I'm thinking about how, now that we're in Mental Health Awareness Month, and I think last
Mhm.
month was about stress awareness as well. So they're kind of all in line or synchronized as it relates to that. I'd like to kick off the conversation about, areas of what what is what is depression? Maybe this break depression down since that's what your book is about. A
Yes.
self-guided journal to help you kick depression. And as we get a common definition or description of depression,
Mhm.
then let's talk about what's connected to depression. So share with us that so we can just have a common uh, description or definition of it, please.
Sure. So depression is when you are waking up and you're sad for at least 2 weeks or longer. Sometimes we wake up and we don't feel ourselves and we like, oh, I don't kind of don't feel myself today, but you're able to get through the day. And as you get through that day, that feeling goes away. Or maybe that next day, that feeling goes away. That's not depression. That's normal. But depression is at least when you're sad for at least 2 weeks or longer. It interrupts your sleep hygiene. You're not able to sleep, or either you're sleeping too much. It interrupts your appetite. Either you're overeating or you're skipping meals and not eating. You're not able to focus. Your concentration is off. Sometimes you feel worthless. Sometimes you don't feel like you have anything, any purpose. And sometimes you have suicidal thoughts. And like my uncle, he had the suicidal thoughts and he completed suicide. So sometimes people, depression gets severe to where they can't handle, they can't cope. And then, the unfortunate is the result of suicide.
Okay. So for us, those of us, as far as understanding from a description and definition perspective, there's a certain length of time. So there are times we
Yes,
do have, sometimes we're feeling a certain way, and that may not
that's
necessarily
true.
be depression at that moment, but when it
Mhm.
becomes extended over, 2 weeks and
Yes,
it just stays with you,
2 weeks
then that's when
more.
you start,
Uh-huh.
that might start kicking in. Okay. All right. And
Yes.
mhm. What are some other emotions that are linked to depression or a depressed state?
Oh, oh yeah. Sometimes you'll feel angry. See, anger and irritability shows up in men. A lot of times we don't know that men are experiencing depression because we think as a woman their symptoms are gonna be like ours, and that's not the truth. Women are more so sad and we cry, where men don't do that. I'm not saying men don't cry, because sometimes
Mhm.
men do cry, but for the most part, men, their depression show up in aggression. It shows up in
Mm.
irritability. They're moody. Their mood is kind of off, and so that's how their depression show up. In children, you will see sadness, as well as what you see in adults. But their depression may be that they don't want to go to school. They don't want to get out of bed. Like adults, we both share that we probably don't want to take a shower or brush our teeth. Little simple things that we are used to doing, getting up, doing our normal activities, our normal routine, our daily, lifestyle, that kind of goes to the back burner when you are suffering with depression. And then with the kids, their grades drop and they start having low self-esteem. So it shows up in all of us a little different, but there is some similarities.
Okay. So different, it shows up in different ways, but those are some of our symptoms or behaviors or
Yes.
emotional states. Okay. Got you. Got you. So
Mhm.
when we think through, we've defined depression.
Uh-huh.
We have looked at some symptomatic behaviors that align to depression. We've described it. Tell me more about other emotions that are specifically connected to it. You mentioned sadness. What other types of emotions or feelings do people go through with depression?
Yeah. So you may feel anxious. You may have
Okay.
anxiety. You may have chronic stress. They call it the silent killer. That's the emotion that you will initially see, is that chronic stress showing up, and then it develops into that sadness and that anger and the anxiety, and then the emotion of sometimes you don't you withdraw from others, you
Mm.
isolate, from other people.
Hmm.
um, some of the behaviors, that'll show up with that. Sometimes with depression, you feel, like I said earlier, you feel worthless. You don't feel like you are worth anything. You feel like you don't have a future. You don't have a purpose for you to keep going. And so all those emotions kind of show up together when you know that it's getting started and it's kind of going more so than a major depressive. So let me slow down. Major depressive disorder, you would start to see the worthlessness. You will start to see the not getting out of bed. You'll start to see the crying a lot, the withdrawing from others. That's when you know your depression is worsening and you need to tell someone. But I tell my clients and the people that I work with all the time, if you're the telltale signs is when your appetite and your sleep hygiene starts to change. That's when you know that your
Mm.
sadness is starting take a little toll on you. And that should be a red flag then to let someone know, hey, I'm not doing well. I'm not feeling well. If you start to have negative thoughts about yourself and putting yourself down and with that low self-esteem, that's also a telltale sign to let you know that your depression is getting worse. And you should have probably before that let someone know. But if you haven't, that's the time to let someone know because you don't want to get too far down the line and then start thinking about the suicidal thoughts, not
Okay.
living wanting to live. Yeah.
Mm, mm. So it's important that we start sharing early in
Yes.
that journey, so
Yes.
that it doesn't continue to spiral, or accumulate or suppress.
That's correct.
And as a result of that, it's already pretty much taken over in some spaces in our lives. Thank you
Yes.
for that, because I
Yeah.
want us to just have a clear understanding of how do we,
Yeah.
define this and describe this, so we can
Mhm.
all have a common understanding. Then we can start moving into other things that are connected, other actions and behaviors that might be connected to a depressed state.
Yes.
What are some causes of depression? Are there any causes or root causes? I'm going to move into that, and then we're going to go on the other side of the conversation. But let's stay here for a moment.
Mhm.
And what are some root causes or sources of depression?
Yes. So a lot of times people don't realize that it could be just their DNA. They can inherit this from a family member. Sometimes it skips generations. Sometimes you may have a chemical imbalance, which is basically, your brain is the neurotransmitters, the spark that's in there that's supposed to connect is not connecting. And when it doesn't connect, it makes your body become unbalanced. And when you have that unbalance, that's when that depression kick in, when you can't sleep and you can't eat and so on. Also, some root causes are life stressors, losses. Some people may get a divorce. Some people may have a loved one that passed away. Some people may lose a job. Those type of things are life stressors that happen, traumatic events, like child abuse, sexual abuse, things like that. You may have some women that have babies, during childbirth and after childbirth, they experience postpartum depression to where they start their hormones are so out of whack to where they start feeling sadness and it's persistent, and then they don't have that connection with their baby. And then you also have people that like what I shared earlier with my uncle, the relationship, when that
Mhm.
fails, then that kicks in, depression for some people. So those are some root causes that happens to people and that triggers the depression.
Okay. So we've established an understanding of defining it, describing it, emotions connected to it, thoughts that are connected to it. You mentioned chronic stress. I do want to go back to chronic stress at some
Yes.
point in the conversation, because I'm sure with the way that our schedules are, our lives, over information, misinformation, information
Hmm.
overload,
Yes.
our time
Overthinking.
management, different things that pull on us, that could
Hmm.
cause chronic stress as well, where it's compounded. And so as a
Exactly.
result of that, that could lead to a depressed state as well. But
Yes.
I want to move into, I'm thinking through about, what are some, I guess, unhealthy ways of dealing with a mental health challenge? Because I do want to say to the audience, mental health is not a negative term, just like when we say physical health. Physical health
Exactly.
is not a negative term. When we say mental health or even spiritual health or financial health, we're using the term to define or describe the realm of that particular experience. So when I say
Hmm.
physical health, that's what we're referring to. When we say mental health, that is, I'm discussing the state of my mind, the state of my emotions. It's the same thing when I go to a doctor and I'm getting an annual physical. I'm
That's
checking on my
correct.
physical health. Doesn't mean that I have an illness. It is assessing where I am. So I want to let
Hmm.
everybody know, when we talk about mental health, it's assessing where you are. It's looking at where you are. It's being aware about where you
Hmm.
are in your mind, in your emotional state. So Pamela, can you share with us about, perhaps some dysfunctional, or shall I say unhealthy ways of dealing with our mental health, just in overall?
Sure. So sometimes people start to use substances, drugs,
Mhm.
alcohol, overindulging in those type of things. And that is very unhealthy for you, because when you start to drink and do drugs, it makes you even more impaired and not thinking, not thinking clearly. And especially it makes your immune system go down lower, which is not healthy as well. And so those are some unhealthy ways. Sometimes people have aggression, they fight. They don't know how, like little younger kids, they don't know how to express themselves. So their depression may come out in unhealthy ways with fighting. Some people yell, some people, scream, some people break things. Those are the unhealthy behaviors that come out sometime with having depression, because of the irritability and the anger that's couples with that. But for the most part, I see a lot of people doing drinking alcohol, using drugs, and also cutting on their body. Some people cut on their body with like pencils, erasers, razor blades, to relieve that stress, because
Wow.
they don't know how to handle it, and they don't know how to cope well with it. So they feel like if they cut on their body somewhere, it helps them to relieve that stress, which is not, it's not good. It's all of that is unhealthy.
I'm interested. I want to take this a little further because I was thinking through what you were saying: overindulgence, aggression, suppression, escalated behaviors.
Yes.
Overindulgence could be overindulgence in eating.
Yes,
It could be overindulgence in not eating.
that's correct.
It could be overindulgence in maybe work stress. I'm just going to keep working, keep working, keep working, keep working.
Yes.
Or it could be I'm not going to do anything. So really, what I'm hearing is when we have an imbalance, either we're fully extreme
Mm-hmm.
and we're just aggressive with
Mm-hmm.
an appetite,
Mm-hmm.
right? Whatever that appetite is. And we all know our appetites.
Yeah.
So whatever our appetites would be, whatever that means, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever we have a taste for, an emotional taste, a physical taste, a spiritual taste, whatever it
Mm-hmm.
might be, when we
Mm-hmm.
overindulge in that, that could be a sign of not handling something in our mental health.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then on the other end, there's also I'm extremely passive about something where I'm denying it, ignoring it, suppressing
Mm-hmm.
it, or I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to deal with it. So I think that what I'm learning in this conversation and what I've experienced even either
Mm-hmm.
sometimes there's that imbalance of I'm not going to do anything, so I'm just going to just stay in bed. I'm just going to
Yeah.
ignore. I'm going to
Lack
suppress
of
it,
that motivation.
ignore it.
Yes.
Right, it's gone. It's over here. But then on the
Mm.
other end, I overindulge in eating too much, drinking too much.
Yes.
I might be so busy because I want to get so busy that I don't even get enough
You don't
sleep
think about it. Yeah.
because I'm constantly busy. I'd rather work and be on point, be on target instead of just learning how to rest or acknowledge there's an issue, there's a problem here in
Exactly.
my mental health. Okay.
Correct.
Mm,
Yes. Correct.
okay. Interesting. Well, what do you think is essential for people to have a healthy brain then, to be healthy in terms of their brain or their emotional state? What do you think is important in that area?
Oh, I think that you were heading towards that direction about the resting part. You have to get some proper rest. You have to make sure you are providing your body with nutrients. You can't feed your body fast foods, junk foods, and feel that's going to give your brain the nutrients that it needs. We need the fruits, we need vegetables, we need those walks outside to get that sunshine. We need the vitamin D. I'll talk a little bit about vitamin D in a moment. We need exercise. We have to move our body around because our bodies need that. And this is the big one that I tell people all the time. You really need peace. You need peace. If there is someone causing you chaos, or if there is something that's causing you chaos, you have to remove that. That doesn't mix well with depression. You have to surround yourself around positive things, things that's going to edify you and uplift you. You cannot be around things that's going to pull you down. And just to go back a little bit and piggyback on vitamin D, I'm not a doctor, but research shows that if our vitamin D level is low, that would change our mood. That would cause us to have some depression as well. So I tell people sometimes, ask your doctor to check your vitamin level to see where your body is at with that, because you may be okay and you may not have like a clinical diagnosis. You may realize that through test blood work that your vitamin D level was low and you need that to replenish your body. So that's why I say we need to get out, get in the sunlight. Some people that, let's say for instance, we think about people that's in the healthcare field, they tend to go to work when it's dark, in the wintertime, because daylight saving is dark in the morning, and then they get off of work working 12-hour shifts, it's still dark. Well, if they suffer depression, those people may suffer what was called seasonal affective disorder, to where during the winter time, it's more darker outside and it doesn't get light until later. Well, they're already in work. So they're not getting that sunlight that they need. And so generally when people suffer from SAD, that's what they call it, SAD, that's the reason why, because during the wintertime, the weather is gloomy, it's dark, and it makes them, feel like that inside. So they have to be careful with that as well. If they do suffer from that, making sure they get out and get some sunshine as well.
This is good because we're talking clinically, we're talking biologically.
Yes.
We're talking psychologically, and I think it's important that we just have commonality in conversation regarding this, because it gives us, information is power, right? Knowledge is power, information is currency. So when empowered with knowledge, and then you get information, and it just flows into your life, how you spend your time in your mental space. So I definitely want to encourage us to really listen to this. And you talked about vitamin D, and I've also heard it because I've had an opportunity to get my blood work done. And it was from a particular type of doctor that was able to look at deficiencies that I had in vitamin D3 specifically.
Yes.
And I was like, so there was some calcium I had to take, magnesium, and vitamin D3.
Magnesium is good.
All right. I was like, well, write me a prescription to go to the beach, and give it to my dog.
Now there it is. Beach, it's not for everyone, but I'm telling you, if you haven't tried it, go to the beach. It's so refreshing. Yes.
I was like, tell my primary care physician, or my insurance company. But yeah, nonetheless, it's important that what we're talking about here is going outside, getting some fresh air, getting rest, getting in sunshine, restoring our vitamin D. Of course, diet is number one in nutrition.
Oh, yes.
What do you mean by that? What we eat, how to eat to live, not living to eat, right?
Yes.
We have to eat to live. So there are certain things that we need to eat and things we don't need to eat. We all know that because we're in a culture of indulgence and consumerism. And so because we're a culture of consumerism, what I want, I'm going to get, it also comes out in our appetites and how we eat. And so we don't know that because we're not spending enough time really evaluating what's happening in our bodies as it relates to our nutrition.
We think we're young, we can do this, we can eat this, we don't have to exercise, we can just live life to the fullest. And, with some people that choose to, indulge in alcohol, you don't think about it when you're young. When you get older and your body starts to shifting gears and things start to happen, and you start realizing like, oh, okay, I need to be a little bit more mindful of what I put inside of my body, making sure it's healthy.
This is good.
Yeah, drink your water. That's one thing I forgot. Drink your H2O. You need your water.
Right. And I wish we could get into what, just having alkaline water and, there's so much to discuss behind that. I remember Dick Gregory, who really was powerful in the area of our physical and mental health. And he was talking about how, when we are sleeping, our body is fasting. And so when we get up from our sleep, our deep sleep, our REM sleep, we get up and we eat. That's called breaking your fast, which is where we get the word breakfast from, or break fast. At that moment, we hydrate because, most of our bodies are created, is contained of water. And so if we come from that, we need to be sustained by that because that's where our physical body comes from. And so because our physical body comes from the ground, comes from that water intake, then in order for us to be healthy, even in depressive moods and states, it's important to get that pure water in there, that hydration to help us with that hormonal imbalance, perhaps, or just chemical imbalances of what's going on in our body. So Thank you for that. I know
Yeah.
we've had a chance to define and describe depression. I talked a little bit about mental health and what that is, just like when we look at
Mm-hmm.
physical health. I want to talk a little bit about your book, Creative Strategies. Very
Mm-hmm.
creative and interesting approach, I might add.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to ask you what, I think I know what motivated you to write the book based upon what motivated you to go into mental health. But in the book,
Mm-hmm.
some, you have some colors where you have to color. And
Yeah.
so can you connect this activity
Uh-huh.
to a strategy of kicking depression?
Yes. So when even with adults and children, sometime when you go to therapy, you may feel a little nervous and you're not feeling comfortable to really talk about what's really going on with you. So when I noticed that working with children, I always say, hey, you want to color? Do you want a coloring sheet? What's your favorite cartoon character? So I print it out and they get to coloring. And what I notice is that they, with a little bit of soft music in the background as well, they begin to relax and they begin to feel a little bit more comfortable with me also telling them that, hey, you only have to talk about what it is that you feel comfortable talking about. But it's something about coloring. When you're coloring and you focusing and you're trying to stand in line and you're trying to make sure it looks really nice, you're focused on that to where you're calming your body down, and then you're able to just move forward in that process and do the talk therapy. And so I found that it works really well with people to help them calm themselves down. I remember many years ago as a kid, we used to get a coloring book as a part of our Christmas gift. And I used to be so mad because I didn't want a coloring book. I was like, I don't want a coloring book. I want a Barbie or a baby doll. But I didn't realize back then we were learning, mindfulness. We didn't realize we were learning these things to calm our body down, but we need these things now. So adults color as well, and if they don't color, they like to paint. So it's still that form of that art calms the body down and calms those thoughts down in your body. So where you can kind of like get that balance, like you said, and be able to share in that therapeutic process.
Hmm. Would that include doodling when you're just sitting there?
Doodling,
Going,
yes.
okay. All
Doodling,
right. So
yeah.
I guess I qualify then.
You qualify. I don't, it
Thank
doesn't
you.
matter if they want to color a doodle, I let them do that. If they want to write a story or whatever, excuse me, I let them do that as long as it's allowing them to be comfortable where they can be able to share what they want to share.
Hmm. Why do you think people don't address their mental health even when
Mhm.
the tools are there? And I'm talking about beyond the stigma piece. I mean, that is a clear answer. There are
Mhm.
stigmas towards it, but beyond the stigma, why do you think sometimes we don't,
Mhm.
address our mental health? Or at least what are the
Yeah.
things that you've heard within your relationships with other counselors and therapists?
Yeah. So it's shame that's tagged with it.
Uh-huh.
Shame that's tagged with it, embarrassment. You don't
Hmm.
want to feel like you're being labeled. You don't want to feel like there's something wrong with you. A lot of times some people think that having a mental health disorder is something wrong with them. And I tell them all the time, think about it when you have your tooth is hurting and you try medicine at home and it's not working. You have to
Hmm.
then go to the dentist. When your stomach is hurting, you try your medicine at home and you can no longer stand the stomach pains. You have to go to the doctor. I said that's the same as when you are not feeling well in your mind, you have to go to the therapist or you have to go to a doctor so that they can help you make sense of what all is going on. So a lot of times it's just a shame. And then we have to go there with the cultural piece. Some cultures don't, they frown down on mental health. I know for me growing up, I saw a couple of family members, with mental health, but like I said, it wasn't talked about in our family, and we didn't know too much about it. But I would hear people say, "Oh, they just crazy," but nobody would never go and get service because why? They took their problems to the church and they said, you got to pray about it. If you feel like this, pray about it, or go to the church and talk to the pastor. And so all of that, with the combination of the shame, I think that's why people didn't really seek out services, and some of that is still happening today. There are some cultures that will not allow their children or themselves to get services. They don't believe in mental health. So it's
Mm-hmm.
just a lot of little a lot of little reasons why, getting help is not, they're not seeking to get help. It's
Sure.
unfortunate. It could be money too, they're having enough funding and insurance. Some people work, but they don't
Mm-hmm.
receive insurance. And it's a little expensive to go see a therapist. For me,
Sure.
myself, if I meet someone and I know that they really need this help and they don't have the money, I give a lot of free sessions.
Mm-hmm.
I just figure, like, it's okay. I want to. I feel like this is a calling that God has given me, and He's blessed me with this. And so
Mm-hmm.
I don't try to look at it as like just getting money. I know, although you do get paid for it, but I give away a lot of free sessions, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's
Yeah.
important because I'm glad we're asking these questions because you talked about
Hmm.
shame, you talked about embarrassment,
Hmm.
um, and that is important. And I want to encourage folks that are out there, just like physical health, again, physical health, emotional health, mental health, spiritual health, financial
All
health,
go together.
social health. It's the state of where you are. And
Hmm.
if you have a toothache, all right, that's a physical oral health issue here. I've got
Yes.
to take care of it. And I many times, and many of us, for various reasons, don't
Hmm.
address things. It's like having a water faucet that is dripping, dripping. Oh, I'll get to it. It's dripping, dripping. Oh, I'll get to it. To the point now, it's started damaging the sink, and now things become moldy and mildew and everything else because it kept going and it was not addressed. And if that's
Hmm.
how it is in the physical health arena, it's the same way in the mental health arena. And then, of
Correct.
course, as leaders, as employees, supervisors, managers, doesn't matter what state you're in terms of life or positions, it comes out. So, again, what's in you will come out,
It's going to bleed
right?
out
As far as
and
mental
bleed
health,
on others.
whatever's in you, whatever state of mind you're in, whatever thinking
Hmm.
process you're in, what's in you will come out. And it's the same thing with our physical health. If there's something in my body, eventually it's going to show something's going on, whether it's
Hmm.
good or bad. All right. So it's important because if joy is in you, joy is going to come out. If happiness is in you, happiness is going to come out. If there are other areas that are in you, they will come out and show us where we are in terms of our mental health. Tell me a
Hmm.
little bit more about, just as far as ways to use your book. One of the things that I saw in here was about affirmations, which that's
Uh-huh.
important in writing out affirmations. I did a posting today about authenticity and honesty affirmations. But something you said in here was using positive reflection strategies. So
Hmm.
why is it important that we use positive reflection strategies? And I want to share this. I want you to share this with our audience because I think all of us need to have some type of reflection strategy with whatever
Hmm.
we're dealing with. We need to have some type of positive reflection. So tell us
Hmm.
a little bit more about why you wrote that positive reflection strategies.
Well, I was thinking in terms of, like, with depression, you're already feeling down and in the dumps, and your thoughts are so negative to where you can't even see anything on the side of you. You're just so total focus on your problems. So I thought about, if you shift that, that's why on the front of my book, you'll see the dark scribble to the color, because
Mhm.
depression is that dark part. But when you shift it and start doing those positive strategies, then you'll get to that color part, which means that those negative thoughts, that gloom, that depression, that sadness will lift off of you, and you can move forward in life. So, right, that positive reflection. There was a question in there that I put down, and I was telling them that if they were a book, what would their book title be and why? And so I think it's really important to know that just because you suffer with depression right now, or life happened to you, and it caused you to have some depression, it doesn't mean that that's your story. You can rewrite your story. And rewriting your story is how you see yourself beyond the depression, how you see yourself when you're in a healthy state. I know that me and you talked before, and you were saying that healing is ongoing. And I thought about that, and I was like, wow, that's powerful. I never thought of it like that. And that's true. you're going to forever be healing in some areas in your life. And so you want to utilize those positive strategies, but I want them to also come up with their own positive strategies. I can give them some in the book, but then I want them to come back and write some of their own. That's their buy-in. If they buy into it by doing it, then they're going to work through that book, and then it's going to help them through their process while they're going to therapy.
So let's do a reflection strategy. I want to use what you just said, and I want our audience to just pause for a moment, and I want you to think about, what are you hopeful or thankful about? We're going to do a strategy that you, and this is one of your strategies. Mm-hmm. And I want us to do this exercise now while we're all here in this moment on this podcast. And I want you to think about why you're thankful and why you're hopeful. Just put it on your mind, everyone. And I want you to eliminate all negative thoughts and feelings. Why are you hopeful? And why are you thankful? Now, as you're thinking about that, I want you to write it out. If you like to place it in the chat or put it in your journal, go ahead. But let's interact. Because I think what is happening now is we're learning to heal each other as well by sharing with one another. You know, I have a philosophy. I'm transparent with the trusted few, but I'm authentic with everyone. So I'm authentic all the time. I'm going to be me. Flaws and all, failures and all, successes and all. But transparency happens in a trusted, safe space, in a safe place. So I want you to think of, everyone, about, what are you thankful for? What are you hopeful for? We're using a Pamela Shakir reflection strategy. All right. And I want you to think, just release all the negativity, and I want you to write it out. And really think about, what are you thankful for? Why are you thankful? Why are you hopeful? And while we're going through our conversation, we want you to place that in the chat. All right. Thank you for sharing that, Aretha. Yes. That's important to me. It's authentic with everyone and transparent in a safe place. Yes. Hey, Cheryl, good to see you on. Well needed information. Absolutely. Thanks so much, Lynette. Yes, people, because they're judged, because people don't share because they're judged. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. Yes, thank you. So hopeful because I know what God has promised me. Anybody else? What are you thankful for? Why are you thankful? Why are you hopeful? Pamela, why are you hopeful and why are you thankful? What's yours?
I'm thankful to have great people in my life. I'm thankful for my family. I'm thankful for great health. I'm thankful for a lot of things. I think it's very important to keep a gratitude journal near you, or in your on your phone. Some people jot things down or have apps. I think it's very important. Excuse me. What am I hopeful for? Oh, I'm hopeful for a lot of things, but I think the right now, where I'm at in my stage in my life, I am hopeful for this summer break that I'm getting ready to have. All right. For this summer break, I'm getting ready to have.
Well, I'll looking forward to. Yeah, I think it's a reflection strategy is important to help how we feel when we're perhaps experiencing a depressive situation or emotion or a state of mind or state of our emotions. And so, folks, we want to encourage you to think through, why are you thankful? Why are you hopeful? Write it down. Please feel free to place it in the comments and really be specific. Really think about it and be specific. And why are we doing this? We're doing this to help us focus our attention outside of the negativity or the sadness we may be feeling. So thank you for sharing that. Someone else is sharing also here. I'm thankful for the very breath of life to enjoy with others. Thank you so much for sharing that as well. Here's another. I'm thankful that I can hear this conversation from this side of depression. Hopeful that I can use these practices as well as my own experience to help others through. Thank you for sharing that with us. Anybody else want to share with us, please? Why are you thankful? Why are you hopeful? And really spend some time reflecting on that, because we're going to do another centering and grounding exercise at the end of the podcast. Why? And the reason why we're doing this is because this is Mental Health Awareness Month, and we want to foster awareness. That is the reason why we're here. Lynette says with us, I'm thankful for my strength to keep going forward. Yes,
Mm,
yes.
yeah.
Strength to go forward. Anybody else want to share? Why are you thankful? Why are you hopeful? We're in an authentic environment. This is it. We're building resilience because we're normalizing the conversation about how we feel. So if anyone out there is struggling with depression, I want to encourage you to order this book. I want to bring up Pamela's book. You can actually buy it off of Amazon as well. Please feel free. The name of the book is Creative Strategies, a self-guided journal to help you kick depression. And again, the author and my guest this evening on the Change Matters podcast is Pamela Shakir. And I want to encourage you. This book really contains creative approaches and ways to help you kick depression with understanding your issues and making affirmations and what we just did about a reflection strategy. So there's so much in here, other resources and creative ways to help you navigate that. Now, is there a particular reason why you think people don't journal? Because I know people buy journals, they buy books. Why do you think sometimes people don't spend time writing or doing what they need to do to get out of that state that they're in?
Yeah, you said it, time. It's
Okay.
that time management piece. Your heart is in it. You go to Ross, you go to TJ Maxx, you say, I'm gonna get this pretty book because I'm gonna start journaling. You get your pretty pen and you head to your car, and when you get home, you sit it next to your bed, and you're gonna, you said, I'm gonna write in my journal every day when I get before I go to bed. And you start on that, but something happens and you get sidetracked, and then you don't go back to the book, and then you find it maybe in a drawer up under your bed. I think a lot of times people's heart is into, they want to do the journaling, but they just don't have the time to do it. And then sometime when you journal, it really make you face what you're going through. When you putting things down on that paper, you really seeing like, oh wow, this is what's happening to me. This is what I'm feeling right now, which honestly, having a journal is a great ideal. I know it's not for everyone. And so, I get it if it's not for you, but if it is for you, it's really good. It's a great tool to help you do some deep reflection. You can kind of go back and say, oh, okay, when I was going through this, this is what I was writing in my journal, and this is what helped me, because that same thing that helped you back then can speed up and help you in the future when you're going through something similar. So journaling is good, but like you say, why they don't journal, I think it's the time. It's the
Yeah.
time, to invest in doing it.
And I wanted to hear that, and I think others probably would agree as well in terms of why we don't take the time to do that. And again, we're talking about not just only depression. We started out with that, and we defined it, we described it, we look at root causes. We're
Yeah.
normalizing a dialogue about our mental health. I want to bring up a few more answers to the question. And again, folks, if you want to participate, share with us. Why are you thankful? Why are you hopeful? Michelle says, here, I'm thankful for individuals that hold me accountable emotionally. I'm hopeful knowing there's freedom with being authentically me. Ravella says, I'm thankful that I can appreciate my flaws and know that it doesn't define me. I can
That's right.
continue to grow and develop. And it says here, journaling helps me release toxins and my
Yeah.
inner feelings. Anybody else want to share with us? Why are you thankful? Why are you hopeful as a reflection strategy? I also want you to do that tomorrow about your job, and think about your job. Think about this, you might be going through stress in your job or in your home, and say, why am I thankful for where I am? When that happens, use a reflection strategy to help you look at where you are. Why am I thankful? I know it's hard. I know it's difficult. Why am I
Yeah.
hopeful? And really, really spend some time thinking about that. We talked about time and why individuals may not do that. I want to, an exercise that I use to help people navigate that, Pamela, is that I want everyone, if you're out there right now, I want you to imagine a delicate flower in your hand, a glass flower or even a real flower, and it's a petal. It's a nice flower leaf, that's in your hand. How would you treat it if you wanted to make sure that it was healthy? What would you do? How would you carry it, Pamela? Just as an exercise, if you could imagine in your hand, you had a nice petal, how would you treat it if you were carrying it?
Yeah, I would definitely carry it. I would walk slowly as I'm
Okay.
carrying it around with me. I wouldn't let anything get on it. I would make sure that it's in the center of my hand because I want to make sure that it's safe and it is protected. For some
Mhm.
reason, the center of our hand is like a little dip, so that's where I would put that flower in my hand, and I would, like I said, I wouldn't let anything get on it, and I would walk slowly so it wouldn't fall down.
Mhm.
And I would just take care of it. It's making me think about when we were younger, we had to carry around eggs when we were younger.
Mhm.
For a whole total different thing. But yeah, I would just make sure I walk slowly with it and not
Okay.
run and make sure I take care of it.
Absolutely. Anybody else out there? What would you do if you had it in your hand? Just, I really want you to think about this because this is an exercise that I use for myself and a renewal practice also. How would you handle that if it was a delicate, um, something very delicate like a flower? How would you do that? You said walk slowly, make sure it's in the
Walk
center of my
slowly.
hand. Somebody else is saying
Mhm.
cradle it. Anybody else? What would you
Yes.
do with that? What I like to call this is making space for what's delicate.
Oh, that's
And
good.
you're
That's
making space for what's delicate. That's how you treat your soul. That's how
good.
you treat your mind. Is
Mm-hmm.
you walk slowly. You don't
Yeah.
rush into it. You walk
Mm-mm.
slowly. You make sure you're in the center. Okay, let me just pause. Somebody else says, cradle it. Here's another one. Handle very gently with care. If this is how you choose, you'll treat a flower, how much more your own mind and emotions?
Wow.
Same thing here. Constantly communicate with it, check in with it to ensure it's okay.
Right.
Absolutely.
That's
What else?
nice.
I would be very gentle with the flower.
Uh-huh.
See, this these this is how you take care. This is what you do in order for you to finish those journal exercises. Okay,
Mhm.
you get a journal, you get information, you get in spaces like this. It's like carrying it around, and you can't rush with it. Otherwise, wind will
Mm-mm.
come. And, oh my gosh, what happened to my flower? Right? It blows
Mhm.
out of your hand because
Yeah.
you're all over the place, just walking around. No, you got to take your time. You got to cover it. Somebody said cradle, handle it gently with care. That's how you want to use. That's how you help manage time for your soul, time for your emotions, time for your mind is by
Mhm.
carrying it very gently. And
Very
today in
gentle.
our conversation, Pamela, through her book, Creative Strategies, has a reflection strategy. And what I just did was a demonstration of,
Mhm.
of how to help you process what comes in journals like this and other journals that you may have. The importance of carrying it like a flower. You wouldn't rush through it. You would take your time with it. You would check in on it. You would constantly communicate within it. All those are very good renewal practices to help you experience change with how you're feeling. And in this instance, we're talking about kicking depression. Pamela,
Mhm.
share us a little bit more. Just what are some last terms that perhaps you can share with us about any takeaways from your book or other
Mhm.
best practices for the busy person, for the busy professional, the busy mom, the busy dad, the busy student, the stressed out person, the chronically stressed person. Share with us
Mhm.
just a few more strategies because we're coming to our close.
Okay. So I wanted to share also that my book is small enough to go in your purse. I purposely wanted it to be small enough to go in a purse for the busy people where you could just grab it and put it in your purse or your work bag. It's not heavy, it's light, and just go with it. There are colorful sheets inside. Also, there is goal sheets. And so sometimes we need to set some goals in life. There's a chapter on goals. There's some goal sheets to go with it. There is also some blank sheets in the book where you can just doodle, like you said earlier, or you can journal within your book and write whatever it is that you want to do
Mhm.
within that book. But I definitely want to encourage you to start off, if you are suffering with depression, start off by getting you some good affirmations and make you an affirmation wall in your bedroom. You can make it at your job if you have a cubicle. in your desk. You can put a affirmation wall on your cubicle desk. Put those powerful words that's going to stand out to you to help remind you of who you are, because you are not depression. Depression does not tell you what to do. You tell depression what to do, and you
Mm,
speak life over yourself. And by putting those powerful words, or if it's a scripture or some statements, whatever it is, you make sure it's speaking life into you, and you say that to yourself daily. Even if you have to do it several times a day, you make sure you say that you speak that life over you. Okay, because depression will strip you of all of your positivity and all your good, and you don't
mm,
want to do that. So you got to kind of feed yourself with positive stuff and positive messages. If you're in a car and you have podcasts, you can download your favorite podcast and listen to. Me and my friend Cheryl Brown, we have a podcast, and we're on every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we have, discussions on topics with relationship, depression, mental health topics, fear, just various ones. So if you are wanting to listen to our podcast, we welcome you to come and listen to us at 7 p.m. on Instagram. And the handler is Cheryl underscore masterpiece woman. That's what you log on to, or you can go to my page, Pamela Shakir LCSW, and click on our live. So I encourage you to feed your mind with good things, just like you feed your body with good things.
mhm.
Feed your mind with good things. Surround yourself with good people, people that love you. Check in and let people know that you need that support.
That's excellent. Thank you so much. So your podcast is Authentic Talk, right?
Good
And
talk.
we have been on there. So that's how I met you, through my good friend
Uh-huh.
Cheryl. And we just been
Yeah.
great conversation. I'm
Mhm.
grateful to have been a guest on Authentic Talk Tuesdays, 7 p.m. So if Cheryl, if you're out there, go ahead and type out the handle for us, and we can bring that on the screen so that others can see that as well. So again, ladies and gentlemen, audience, we're here with Pamela Shakir, who is the
Mhm.
author again of Creative Strategies, a self-guided journal to help you kick depression. So feel free to order that. Go ahead and just type in Creative Strategies in the book section of Amazon, and it'll come right up. I have my signed copy as well. And so grateful to have you on, Pamela. This has been a rich
Yeah.
conversation this evening as we're honoring mental health awareness. And folks
Mhm.
can, again, how can they reach out to you through in your Instagram? What is that again?
Is my name Pamela Shakir LCSW. You can reach out to me there. My website is PamelaShakirLCSW.com. I want to thank every one of you who's out there that purchased or that has already purchased or going to purchase my book. Some people are going to listen to this replay, but I just want to thank you guys so much for purchasing my book. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And I have
Yeah,
it, and we're excited. I'm all about renewal. I'm all about change, all about
yeah,
transformation. And Pamela, this conversation I know it's helped someone. I want everyone who's out there to let us know, what are some of your takeaways, perhaps? What are some reflections, perhaps that was helpful in our podcast this evening? We want to hear from you. So grateful to have had you on here, Pamela. Thank you again for coming on. I
thank you
look
for having
forward
me.
to hearing more feedback on those that may engage with you and reach out to you for insight and consulting and counseling, and also feedback on how your book, Creative Strategies, may have helped
Mhm.
them kick
Mhm.
depression as well. So thank
Yes.
you for being on the Change Matters podcast this evening. Thank you
Thank
so much.
you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Everybody, thank you again for coming on. This has been a rich conversation with Pamela Shakir. I want to close out the podcast this evening and really encourage you today to focus on what you can control. Focus on what you can control. Thank you so much, Lisa. Yes, rich conversation this evening. Thank you so much. I want you to focus on what you can control, not what's outside of your control. You can control your boundaries. You can control your thoughts. Thank you so much, Daphne, for being on. Thank you so much, Carmela, for being on. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you so much, Monique, for being on. I hope this has been helpful to everyone. Please like and share. I wanted to end our podcast this evening about what's in your control, the goals you set, your thoughts and your actions, how you even speak to yourself, how you handle challenges, what you give your energy to. That's what's in your control. And I think if we're going to change the conversation and change the direction of a thing, the way we can experience transformation is about focusing on what I can control. All right. Focusing not on what's out of my control, but what's in my control as well. So thanks again, everyone, for tuning in to the Change Matters podcast. I do want to say just a few more announcements. I'm having on June 10th, Saturday, June 10th, my Brown Resources LLC, we're having the Change Experience Virtual Masterclass, Saturday, June 10th, 2023, 9:30 to 12:30. It's a thought leadership course on the Agile Leader Building Community, the Agile Leader Building Community. So I want to encourage you, for those of you that are thought leaders in your own right, you wanted to continue to develop yourself in building community and being an Agile leader, it's $25. All right, it is a virtual masterclass. I want to encourage you to register. We are already live there in Eventbrite. So I'm going to go ahead and post that in the chat so you can take a look at that and enroll. It's $25, a reduced price for this virtual masterclass. It is on a Saturday starting at 9:30. So please feel free to register for that there at theagileleader.eventbrite.com. And again, that is the Change Virtual Masterclass, Saturday, June 10th, 2023, 9:30 to 12:30, the Agile Leader and Building Community, theagileleader.eventbrite.com. Look forward to having you there and being a part of that. Also want to share with you here in the Charlotte area, coming up on, we have 30 days already to the June 11th, and I will be participating in an incredible event here in Charlotte called Look Good and Heal Good. Look Good and Heal Good by the organization A Walking Vibe, continuing the conversation about men's mental health and trauma. Well, it's going to be Sunday, June 11th from 12 to 4 p.m. I'll be there about 1 o'clock, and we're going to have some conversations. Look good and heal good and feel good. The event will feature a panel discussion with therapists and counselors exploring the importance of therapy in today's society and how holding on to hurt and trauma can affect families and relationships. And we're going to dive deeper into the emotions of men and having a conversation on self-love. This is one of the therapists that will be there. Brandon Allison will be there, and you can register for that at Eventbrite as well. So I wanted to share it with you. I'm looking forward to this conversation. We're continuing the dialogue. It is open to everyone. We encourage anyone that's interested in men's mental health to attend. It's a great opportunity for individuals, organizations to learn about the importance of mental health and to connect with others in the community. So I wanted to share that with you. And then lastly, I want to share with you here also an opportunity for you to connect with the organization that I serve in, the Renewal Center here in Concord, North Carolina. We are the Center for Prophetic Thought, Voice, Art, and Action here in the historic district of Concord, North Carolina at 159 Church Street. Please visit us. We are here for hospitality, for wellness, for well-being. We have an incredible space here, a cafe. Our team is committed to helping strengthening you in the area of grief recovery. We have that. We have our tea time every single Tuesday, first, second, and third at 12 p.m. and also fourth Tuesdays at 7 p.m. with our team. Excited to being able to provide it with you as well. So we do probably have some tea timers and some renewers that are out there. And again, we invite you to come and connect with us here at the Renewal Center, 159 Church Street here in Concord, North Carolina. And I also want to share with you, for those of you that may be hearing me for the first time and visiting the podcast, you're viewing it, I have a book called Change Matters. And I wrote this book about 8 years ago. And this is my second edition. You can order that either on my website, www.iampatrickbrown.com, or you can go to the Amazon and you can order a copy from there as well. So again, thanks everyone for being on the Change Matters podcast. I really hope that this has been just a productive time for you. I've enjoyed this conversation with Pamela Shakir, my guest. Until next time, I look forward to connecting with you and seeing you here again. Thanks so much. And remember, change matters. Take care of each other.